Good deal. I just did a free talk on microgreens with another group just a few days ago. So it was kind of, so they were enthusiastic about it. They're a group that I learned from, some of them. So we're kind of we do the Body Thrive habits and everything. So they're all familiar with those things, but it was just, it's one of those things. I've kind of started a trend in the group of getting everybody into doing sprouting more and more.
That's awesome. I'm really excited because have not been very successful in the past with growing much of anything, even like herbs. Like I can't seem to even keep those alive. So hopefully, I'm sure I'm going to gain something today, and I'm not giving up on it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, the sprouting is it's an easy way to start. You know what I mean? It's in little space. So yeah, that was another reason why I like it too. Awesome. I'll give it a few minutes just to see if other people join. I know with Meetup, sometimes it's people sign up, but don't all show up. And okay. I still do the class and then I send them the link to the video afterwards.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you for being here too.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, and it helps me to know, because I haven't heard from a lot of people from the group yet, but if there's certain types of healing things or gardening things that you want to hear more about, you can let me know, because I can kind of, do talks on those kind of subjects more.
As far as like health issues?
Yeah, but it more of on a broader scale, like doing, like the habits that kind of bring back the health to a normal level, just like when you do healthier habits, like what the yogis do.
Mm-hmm.
When you do like breathing, meditation, there's energy medicine. I'm exploring astral healing later this month. So there's a level of energy medicine that I'm kind of, that I like to talk about and stuff too.
That is really neat. I'm so excited about this because I am dealing right now. I mean, I've been trying to do like an anti-inflammatory diet because I've been diagnosed with or tested positive for lupus. I've had, I've battled with like depression. I have thyroid issues. Now I broke my back in a car accident a couple of weeks ago. I've just got a lot going on, and I don't want to be taking medications for everything. I want to go to like a naturopath and do things naturally. That's my goal.
Yeah, that's
and I know food is like the best way to heal. One of the best ways. I know food is a huge part of healing.
Yeah. Much more so than I even realized before. And I'll talk a little bit about that too, because of the, the enzymes and the enzymic activity that the sprouts create.
Yeah.
So those some of the things too. Yeah, I mean, even in the group, even in the Meetup group, even if you just post even in the comments or something, if there's something in particular, and I'll keep that in mind. And the call was recording, so do you want me to not include that part, since you were talking about diagnosis and everything?
It doesn't. You can leave it. I don't have any problem with it.
Okay, I just don't want to impose, by giving that to everybody.
No, okay. I'm fine with it.
Okay, because it gives them a little bit of insight too,
Yeah.
On the holistic side of managing disease and managing injuries and.
Yes, I am totally fine with it.
Okay. And just on a little side note, the group that I learned from originally, she is going to be starting up it's going to be called an online health club.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very specific to focusing on inflammation and how to reduce it and how to overcome it.
Okay.
As soon as you can hear me, I have another person joining here. So we were just continuing a little conversation for a second here. If you want, I'll know when she's going to have the program up. She's working on it. It's probably going to be May or June when it starts.
Okay.
And I can probably get your email from you at some point and just send you the link so that when there's information up, you can actually look at it and see if you feel like that's something that you want to do and whether the cost is something that you want to explore. I'm going to be leading in it. I'll be one of the leading mentors in it. So I'll be part of the program.
Okay.
Kate Stillman is the one you if you want to check her out and her Body Thrive book, that's a real good place to start too.
Okay.
It'll really hit on a lot of things that you're looking for.
Okay. I will check that out.
Hi, Lauren. Thanks for joining. We were just talking a little bit, giving a little time for people to join, and it may just be us. There was about 12 people, I think, that registered, but I still do the class so that we can. I just give them the replay of the video. So, even if we're just a little group, that works out just fine for me.
Okay.
I'm just gonna start off showing you some of the things. When you start off, just like the little 4-ounce bags of the sprouting seeds are the best to start with, because you don't know how much you like it or what you like yet, or how easy things are for you to do the sprouting. And we'll talk mostly about the sprouting in jars, so it's just that easy version of starting. Like they're just usually the wide mouth mason jar is ideal if you can get those, and the reason I say that is because once you start getting more of this stuff, the screen is always designed for these wide mouth mason jars. You could still do smaller ones. I've got like the alfalfa sprouts in a small one. It doesn't have the that mesh on there. I could actually take that off and even just put like cheesecloth or something in there, or just even poke holes. If I just dedicated the lid to it, I could just poke holes in the lid and use that. And it's mainly so that it's going to be for draining water, and it's also going to be for letting air get to it. So I don't know. I probably should check to make sure that my alfalfa sprouts are okay, because I wasn't thinking about the fact that I had that completely closed off in the refrigerator. And I'm going to just kind of show a few things, and then I'll go back and explain things so it's, so everything makes a little more sense. I use filtered water. You could use filtered water or distilled water. If you don't have any of that, you can just leave regular water out on the counter for about 5 days. And that way the chlorine it dissolves out of it. It'll evaporate. It just it prevents the seeds from killing the seeds or restricting the growth. And I don't know how familiar everybody is with Zoom. I mean, it seems like everybody today is like Zoom is part of life. But anytime you have questions too, you can post anything in the chat, or just, since we're a small group, you can talk whatever you want to do with that too as we're going along. And if you think of a question.
What kind of seeds do you have in that bag?
In the one, this one is just Bok Choy, but Bok Choy is a little bit different. I'll show you. That's a little bit more advanced on the sprouting and the microgreens.
Okay.
The common ones are the mung beans and the alfalfa sprouts, clover sprouts, radishes. When you start off, just get like only 1 or 2 things just to try it out. Don't spend a bunch of money, doing. You can get them from like the natural grocer or grocery store, the different whatever is in your area, or from Amazon, Whole Foods. The only difference when you get it from other places versus from a sprouting company is that they may or may not maintain the seeds in a ideal environment the whole time, from the time where you pick them up to the time that you receive them. And the ideal is that you want to have the seeds in a cool, dark place. And most of the time I put mine in glass. I take them out of the plastic bags and put them in glass and just stick the labels on them. I still have some that are in plastic bags, and seeds that I've harvested myself. These are still in a plastic bag. I haven't put them in a glass bag yet, or glass jar. But try to just get the ones that are not a mix of seeds, because it's easier to keep from having a problem occur. And,
Okay.
and especially if they have varying sizes, because the time that they soak in the water varies for the size and the type of seed it is. But see, these are the alfalfa, and they are teensy tiny. I mean, they're not much bigger than salt. They're real tiny. And the real tiny seeds only take 4 to 6 hours of soaking. And I'm gonna show you a few of them. This one's clover. They're pretty small too. It just looks almost like a mix of grounded up pepper. The mung beans, the reason why they're the most common when you're into kind of Ayurveda, the mung beans are called for in a lot of recipes. Whenever you have any type of seeds or grains or nuts or anything that's soaked, it makes it easier to digest. So it makes it better for your digestive system. And a lot of our issues come from our digestive system not functioning right.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized I jumped into all that without even saying anything about myself. I could tell you the reason why I do it, because there's someone here. Let me let somebody else in here. I do that because I talk in so many groups, and I'm so used to just jumping in and beginning what I'm doing, like I know everybody and they know me, but I'll go ahead and cover that. And we've got Pat just joined us too here. I go by Brenda Kyle. My legal last name is Green. I just don't like it, so I go by my maiden name. I've been through Kate Stillman's programs with Body Thrive, with Living Ayurveda, which applies the elements to every part of life. I've been through yoga healer teacher training with Brett Larkin. And I'm going to be doing astral healing training later this month, because I have a strong focus in energy medicine and healing. So the microgreens and the sprouts have been kind of a passion. Once I started to get more familiar with them, then I took training in that area as well. And then I realized that was like something that I really liked talking about and really wanted to do myself. Not necessarily every day. I mean, there's periods of time where I stop, and that's the nice thing with this stuff. If you want to stop, you just set them aside for a little bit. And I'm going to have, there's probably going to be at least a couple of pages of PDFs that I'll give you that'll have like some resources for the sprouting companies, because if you do get into the sprouting, it's better to buy from them and in a little larger quantity. You just have to keep in mind, how much am I eating? Is anybody else in the family eating it? Or are you sharing it with somebody else? That way you can kind of gauge, you can start to gauge how much of a quantity you need. People that do it a lot tend to order half pound or a pound of seeds of certain ones, and it goes through the whole year. The seeds will last longer than a year, but they're very viable that first year. The fall is the best time to buy the seeds, because that's when they're the freshest. They just harvested them. So it doesn't mean you can't buy them at a different time, but that's like the ideal time. And some of the companies may not ship in the wintertime because the seeds might freeze. So that's kind of why you want to anticipate, if you're gonna be doing them, that you have the quantity you need like through winter too. I store mine I have a wine cooler that's broken. It won't, it's not plugged in, but it works perfect because it's that cool, dry environment. And I just have it sitting down in the garage where it's also real cool. You could just use like a regular cooler and put them in there, or if even a box or something, as long as it's covered up or something, and it's dry and it's sitting off the ground, you feel like it's a good spot. I just kind of use as much as you can with what you have rather than buying a bunch of stuff to start with, because the whole idea is this is a really, normally it's a very cost effective way to feed yourself. It's the people I learned from, they fed 13 people on $400 worth of seeds for 9 months. So that's how effective that can be whenever it's a real sustainable option there. Let's see if I can open these up, because I don't know if you can see them a little better if I open them. These are the black lentils, and they're more of the medium size, and because they're on the bags, a lot of times they'll say the soak times for them are a lot longer than what you need to. See, like this one says soak up to 24 hours. But you don't always want to, you want to go usually on the lighter side, so like overnight for the medium size. I don't know if you can see those or not. I can put my hand up without dropping them. But they're just that's actually considered more on the medium side, but that type of, the beans always need more like a longer soak, like 8 to 12 hours or overnight is a good thing. And I'll show you, I've got a few jars. I'm gonna put some seeds in the bottom and then put some water in there so you can see it. Actually, I think I will put some of those. He told me the black lentils are supposed to taste better than the regular lentils, so that's why I have them, but I haven't actually tried them yet. I had to set up in a different place because my partner's at home. I would normally do this in the kitchen on a nice counter. I'm just gonna, I don't have the whole bottom of it covered, but I've got just about, it's just a real thin little layer of them in there. And then you just want to cover the water at least 3 times the amount of what the quantity of seeds in there, because it'll absorb a certain amount of the water. And then you could either cover it like with a cloth, or if you have like one of those covers. See, I've got that metal one. I have a plastic one too, but I mean, these are more ideal because they clean. You can clean them a lot easier. And just like with any food handling, you want to wash your hands and everything before you do this. These are going to be a little questionable because I'm messing with the computer and everything at the same time. But they'll sit in there. Let's see, this is what I'll do is I'll put a label on it so I know what it is, the date and time that I started it. And that way I can kind of track it better, especially if you do multiple things, it's easier to track what you've got, because I put something in there and totally forgot what it was. But I'll let that soak, and then after it soaks, and I'm still going to dump it out just so you can see the rinsing of it too, and I'll soak them again after we get done. But once they're done soaking, you just dump the water out, and then you want to keep the jars like at a 45-degree angle, and you're going to rinse them like a couple times a day. If you're in a real humid environment, you want to do it like maybe 3 or 4 times a day, but it only takes a couple minutes, so it's not going to take a lot of your time to do it. If you don't, when you're starting off, you can just use like either a dish rack or a dish towel to set underneath it, or even like a bowl like this, you could stick it inside there, and that'll keep it at that angle. That just allows it to sprout more evenly and let the air circulate better, and that way they're not sitting in the water. When they're sitting like that, they may or may not all sprout as easily. So that's why we kind of put them at that 45-degree angle. And then you're just gonna say they've been sitting there, and you want to You just need a little bit of water whenever you rinse them. You don't need very much. You just can swish it around. And then same thing, you just dump it back out. And then what you'll do that for, it depends on the seeds, but what you're looking for is like a 1/4 inch of tail on the seeds, or a little more is okay. Sometimes you'll see they'll get longer, and that's when they're ready as far as like for eating or using in salads and juices, on sandwiches, on different foods, or just eating them directly. Let me add another person here. And I'm going to set this one down. And once they get to that, once they get to the sprouted part where they have the tails and everything, if you're not going to use all that you have, you can put them in the refrigerator, and they'll store in the refrigerator. I apologize. I just realized it wasn't pinned to me, so my apologies if you had a hard time seeing. I'll show you some of those things a little closer again. These are the mung beans, and when I started them, that was 413 at 245. But these have been, I've already had these in the refrigerator. And see, they've got a much longer tail than just a 1/4 inch now already. So, but they're really good that way. Those are perfectly good, just anywhere from a 1/4 inch or even up to an inch. It looks like that's what some of those are. And you can, with mung beans, you can eat them just like they are. That's like a form of juicing just by eating them. Or you can put them on salads. You can put them in living soups. You don't want to cook the sprouts because it'll cook the nutrients out. You just want to like drop them in after you've cooked your soup or something. And the same thing with the alfalfa sprouts. They're just, see, they've gotten pretty long, but they'll still grow a little bit even in the refrigerator. And you just want to rinse them about once a day in the refrigerator. The other option is before you eat them, you want to rinse them once, because it takes off any of the sugar that's formed from the natural process that they do. So that'll most of the time I forget. I don't always rinse them before I eat them. I just usually grab them and eat them. And do you have any questions before I get too far into? I mean, if something isn't clear, just let me know too, because I get excited and sometimes things roll out without the best.
How long do the sprouts keep in the refrigerator?
Most of the time, it's good to use the foods probably within the 3 to 5 day range. If it gets a little further than that, you just want to kind of keep an eye on it. Anytime if there's a funky smell, or you start to see where you can tell there's like fungus starting to form or something, just toss it.
Okay.
But otherwise, it should stay fresh, especially if you can rinse it once a day when it's in the refrigerator. And they're real fresh. So another reason you can put them in there is like for whenever you go the next step and you decide to plant them in dirt and grow microgreens. If you can't do it right when they're ready, you can always put them in the refrigerator and then do them within a day or two, put them in the dirt. And I'm going to show you some that I have in the dirt as well, even though that's a little bit more advanced. I just wanted you guys to kind of, if you want to practice with, just sprouting in the jars to start with, because that's the easiest way to do it, to see if you like it. There's some, it shows the ounce. This one's 16 ounce. And this one I just got from the natural grocer just a few days ago, the mung beans, because I use them so much. I didn't, instead of putting it like a small order into some of those companies, sometimes I just go ahead and grab them from the store there. They've got a little bit of information on them. They say on here 6 to 10 hours to soak the mung beans, which that's fine because they're like a medium size and they're more of a bean, so you can, that time frame's still good. And this one, it even shows like rinsing 2 or 3 days, and you can harvest anywhere from 2 to 5 days. The difference is just the length of the tail on them on the time when it comes to harvesting. And the nutrients are different from when they're in seed form compared to when they're already growing into, when you're starting to see the green. I'll show you a couple of them. I've got I have to step over for a second here. Okay, these are the speckled peas. Hopefully it's not, does it look clear enough to you? Because it almost looks like it's kind of faded or something on the camera. But I use glass as much as I can instead of plastic, but you could use, like I said, use what you have, and you know, an apple-shaped casserole dish. I just have like, it's organic dirt, but I mix mine with the worm casting. So there's like 30% worm casting dirt and 70% regular dirt. You can do just regular organic. I've got a video that I kind of pre-recorded, and I can show that if you guys want to see it, but it's like about 7 or 8 minutes. Otherwise I can add it on to the replay. So it's up to you guys, but it just shows there's a little bit of a process when you start doing it. When you start adding them to the dirt, there's a little more that you have to do. But they have to have like about 3 leaves on them before they're ready, and then you just can you can cut them and harvest them, and I've even eaten the whole little plant with the seed attached to it. So it's kind of it depending on what it is and how it tastes. Some of them are pretty good. Some of them, the seed tastes kind of bitter. And this one's grown quite a bit in the last few days here. This is called Kamut, and I'm going to spell it because I had no idea what it was the first time I heard it. It's a wheatgrass, and it's actually better. Kamut tastes better than a regular, the common wheat berry grass that people grow for microgreens. And the idea is when it gets this tall, it's plenty ready. I could start cutting and harvesting that and juice it, which I might do because I'm in a detox right now. So I'm gonna try and see what it's like juicing it. And that's mainly what the grass is, what a lot of people use the grasses for. You can cut them and then they'll still be more sprouting, so you could get more than one harvest out of those. The things like the lettuces, this is a Bok Choy. This works more, this is again like a third level of doing the microgreens, but it's more like small space gardening. This will need light versus the others. All these others, the seeds, they stay out of the light. You can put them on a dark corner in the, on the counter, out of the light. Same thing with the seeds that go into the dirt. Most of them, they don't even need the light at all. They can take a little bit of indirect light, but they don't need it. They green up on their own. And some of these I'll probably put outside in the garden, but I wanted to try some inside in the dirt and just let them grow. And I'm going to do the same thing with the beets. I want to try that with those. Another sprout that's really good is the broccoli. The broccoli is one of the highest nutrient sprouts there are. There's more nutrients in the sprouts of a broccoli than eating broccoli itself. You just want to, when you try it, just kind of taste it, see if it's a flavor that you like. It surprised me a little bit when I tasted it. I have to try it a little bit more and see where I like it better, because the taste is so different. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just something to kind of, try it out yourself and see what you think of it. But I'm going to make some for myself and for my mom, because I told her that it has more nutrients, and she gets tired of eating broccoli all the time. I'm getting a lot of sunlight all of a sudden. We had We had the clouds for so long, so let me, before I make a bunch of noise, I'm just going to mute myself first. And if you have any questions, otherwise there'll probably be a little bit of stuff I'm going to read just about the benefits, and I might screen share a little bit just to show you the like some of the benefits of the mung beans. And thanks for the others. I apologize when you came in a little bit late, so hopefully you kind of got clear on where we're at and everything. And any part of it you missed, there'll be a replay video so you can see the first part too. And I'm gonna go ahead and screen share for a second. And this is just some of the things that the benefits of the mung beans just themselves, with the anti-aging, radiance, shine to your hair. It's a metabolic regulator, cholesterol controller. It's a light meal. When you're getting away from the American diet and working more towards the diet that is better for your digestive system, there's a certain level of lighter meals that we learn to eat rather than always like heavier overfeeding ourselves. So that's why that's in there. Bone strengthener, slimming food, maintains gum health, regulates blood pressure, increases mental focus and alertness, increases immunity, antioxidant benefits, anti-cancerous benefits, sugar controller, maintains eye health, antiviral agent, promotes growth, blood clotting, and liver protection. And stop sharing that one for a second. And do you want to see that little clip of that video? It's like about 7 or 8 minutes, but I mean, we can always, stop at any point with it. I don't know how everybody is on their time because we're like 30 minutes in. So it just depends if you feel like you have time to watch it or even just watch part of it or something. It just shows some of the process. Okay, this is just with me doing it in the dirt. After they sprouted. I'm going to show you guys the leaves when they're sprouted. Normally just a 1/4 inch tail. These already are a little bit past that, but they're still good. When they're like that level, you can already put them in the refrigerator, keep them refrigerated while you're consuming them there in between. And then the other one, the alfalfa, they're sprouted. I'm not going to plant those either. You can just use them just like that. They've already got the tails on them too. The speckled peas, these are supposed to taste better. This will be my first time trying these instead of the regular peas. And these I'm actually going to plant. Yeah. I did not water them because it's a lot easier to get them out. When you don't water them the day you're going to plant them. And the same thing, I was going to do this a day or 2 ago. So the tails are kind of long. They don't need to be that long. Just a 1/4 inch is plenty. And I've got like 30% of the worm casting and 70% is the organic soil. And there's like a moat. And I just use containers that you have, either plastic or glass. But the moat has to do with the best way to water them. So I'm just gonna push these in here. So now you get to see the speckled peas before they grew. You don't need it this deep of a container. It can be like a lot more shallow. I'm just using what I have. And again, that's the speckled peas. And you just want to kind of, you can use something to kind of press them down in a little bit. And then what we're going to do whenever you do it, this is to grow the microgreens. Whenever you're growing them in the dirt, you just want to, you're going to put like for this one, since it's an odd shape, I'm going to put probably a piece of cardboard, but you just want to put like a tray or something that covers the top for a couple days until you see the tray raise up. That's when you know to take the lid off of it. and their little tails will dig themselves right into the dirt, and that's what you want to happen there. And I've got the broccoli. I think same thing. You can use them as sprouts just like that. They've got pretty long tails too. You can also plant some of them. See, they're kind of dry, so they're easy to get out there. I'll probably just put some of them in here. These are a lot smaller, the seeds. I'm just going to spread them out as evenly as you can. They don't have to be perfect. They can be a little bit clustered together. Not going to hurt anything. And the same thing, I'll press them down a little bit, kind of gently with these since they're so little. And this one, you can see the dirt's a little more raised, so it's a little easier to put the tray on top and press them down. So we'll fit in here. Pretty good sized container. Still use the smaller one to press them down for right now because it's a little easier. You don't have to press them real hard, just press them enough so that they're kind of touching the dirt. And let's see. I want to show you the Kamut because the Kamut is the one that's really good for growing and juicing for detox. See those have pretty good sized tails on them too. These are kind of fun to watch. They grow. And they can go a little bit down on the sides too. It doesn't have to be just on the top. Just always wash your hands before you work with the sprouts, just normal food handling concepts there. Cat in the box. I'm gonna grab the water and show you just on the water. Filtered or distilled water, and you're just kind of going back and forth like that, across that way, and then you kind of change the direction. Just go back and forth like that. That's how you do it. And then you'll see when the water when you see it on the moat side, that's when you know you've got enough water in there. And then every few days or so, you just want to check, make sure that they're staying moist, and check the growth. So the first day or two, they're just covered, and then when that top raises, that's when they're ready. I've got a little bit of Bok Choy, which is going to be like a small space gardening. So the idea is these are little tiny seeds with little itty bitty tails. And then I'm just going to plant them in here, and then I probably have too many seeds. You don't really need that many whenever you're doing the indoor kind of gardening there. I'm just going to plant those in there and just press it down a little bit. I have a topsoil. I didn't actually get it ready. I normally just put a little dirt in there and grow it in there. It's the same way. And that's it for right now. And I may show the topsoil a little bit later, just like even in a picture or something.
I'm just going to click out of the video here. That's at the end there.
Did you have any questions after seeing that? I just that was just mainly because I wanted to show that next step for a lot of them when you put it into the dirt. That way you've got, when you growing the green part, you're getting more chlorophyll, which the chlorophyll is the real healthy part. That's nice to get. And it's the next step, but it's not too far off from doing the sprouting in the jars. And if you think of anything while we're going along, I mean, feel free to jump in too. I'm probably just going to read a little bit of information, and then we'll kind of tie the call up here. I'll put the readers on. And even on here, it shows just to try to remember to rinse the sprouts just before eating to remove the surface sugars. That just can be a contributing factor in bloating. So that's why that's a good reason to rinse them off to get rid of that surface sugar. You can add a small amount of turmeric or ginger to the sprouts. Both of those spices assist in digestion of the protein, and just in dried form. And then I'm going to find, there's another page here where I want to kind of tell you a little bit more about some of the thoughts on the sprouting. There's so many levels to this. I mean, there's I'm going to be teaching like a mastery class. I'm putting the content together now, and then I'm going to set a date for the class coming up. In the meantime, I'm just doing free talks, and you can join those at any time. And I'll probably do more on the microgreens and on the and just in general the healing things that I like to talk about. And my preference is to give you information that you're looking for. Not that I want to give you necessarily all that, but things that you feel like are going to help you. It'll take me just a second here because there's a lot of PDFs on this. Let's see if yeah, this one is sprouting for life. Once any vibrant seed or whole grain, legume, bean, nut, or seed is soaked in enough water for long enough to break down its protective acidic coating, the germination is started, and soon a young plant is born. In its earliest few days, the plant first unfolds as a sprout, a tender stem whose job is to burrow through the soil to the sunlight before leaves begin to unfurl. Sprouts vividly reveal the life force of a seed miraculously coming to life. They are one of the most nutrient-dense foods imaginable. They detoxify the liver, they support the immune system, the T cells, and they are full of life force energy. Sprouts are biogenic. They're live foods that appear to pass their essence, the RNA and the DNA, as a life force when eaten. Sprouts can contain all the nutrients and energy to support a mature plant. When we eat sprouts, we acquire the essence of the mature plant, but without the bulk. Growing sprouts in your home is easy to do in any season, but it is especially timely in the spring after a diet of heavy mucus-forming foods. Sprouts and health. The shoots and sprouts are tender and loaded with nutrition to help support the plant on its journey to maturity. When a seed sprouts, it starts quickly to develop a rich array of nutrients to support the mature plant that it is to become. Let's see. Some of this gets a little advanced in referencing different people and things, but the nutrients are broken down: protein into amino acids, fats into essential fatty acids, starches to sugars and minerals. They combine with protein in a way that increases their utilization. This increases nutrition and improves digestion and assimilation. The reason sprouts are considered, that's the reason that they're actually considered to be pre-digested food. Proteins, vitamins, enzymes, minerals, and trace minerals multiply from 300 to 1200%. The chlorophyll develops in seeds that become green plants, and certain acids and toxins that can interfere with digestion are reduced or eliminated. And the size and water content increases dramatically. So that's just a little bit of a window into why they're so beneficial. The enzymic activity that they do in the body is where there's huge benefit to work against us developing disease. That was the more serious side. I can't think of anything else other than I didn't make it clear in the beginning. So just to say again that when you're sprouting in the jars, you just want to keep them out of the light. On the counter is fine. You can put them, if you have like a little spot inside of a cabinet, even you could even put them in there as long as you don't forget they're in there. And then refrigerate them after they've got the tail on them, and then you can use them and just keep an eye on them. If the time gets more than 4 or 5 days, you can make smaller quantity. If you realize you made too much, I just adjust it because I'm the only one that's eating them in the house right now. I think, and the ones the microgreens that are growing in the dirt, same thing. They don't need light, but they can take a little bit of indirect light. If mine are somewhat near a window, so they're picking up a little bit of indirect light. When you're doing the small space gardening, that's where the lighting comes in, and that's where it gets more expensive when you're doing this with the small plants. But you could just start off real easy and real simple. Start with maybe 1 or 2 things and see how that goes. If you have problems, you can just contact me. I mean, either message me or something and let me know, because I can help you through it. When I teach in the class, it teaches about troubleshooting and everything, what to do. It's just everything is so detailed, and it takes a certain amount of hours to actually go through and teach like a full understanding of the seeds and sprouting. So this is just a good way to start without all the complication to it.
So when you're putting them in the dirt, you're not actually covering them with the dirt. You're just pressing them into the dirt.
Right. Yeah, because all they do, they just need to touch the dirt enough so that the tails will grow into the dirt themselves. You don't have to do anything other than just a light pressing.
Okay.
And the seeds can come off of the moat and be on the sides too, because sometimes if you have a lot, they'll come all the way across, and that's okay. They'll grow just the same.
Okay, what would you say like the best, if I was going to start with 2, which ones would you recommend to start with?
I would say the mung beans, and then either the alfalfa sprouts or the broccoli sprouts.
Okay.
And with those smaller seeds, just 4 or 6 hours soaking. With the mung beans, you could do 8 or 12 hours.
Okay.
Up to 8 or 12. I mean, I normally just do them like 6 hours, but 8 hours is fine. You could do them like overnight and rinse them in the morning. The main reason why you don't want to go over the amount of time is because then they start to drown. Just like any seed, if they're in the water too long, they'll start to drown and they'll start to get that funky smell going.
Okay.
Do you think of anything else? I can't think of anything else myself at the moment. So if you have anything, just let me know. And like I said, if you think of something after the call too, or while you're doing, if you're putting it into practice and trying it out, I'll include that PDF that has some resources for you and some different little easy tips. And then that PDF that shows the mung beans. And then that'll just be with that replay, the link to that for you in the Meetup group. Otherwise, thank you for everybody that came on today. I really appreciate it. I enjoy having the crowd. That's what I'm used to, is talking to people on Zoom.
Thank you. I appreciate all the information. It's been interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, have a good day. And like I said, just message me if you have any ideas of what you want to talk about in the future, because I'm happy to express, if it's something I don't know, I'll let you know. But if it's something I do know, I'll go over it. If there's a certain book you want to talk more about, we can do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
All right,
welcome.
thank you. Have a good weekend.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.